Hello, today I'm going to be talking about Leyla's presentation on TED Talk, her speech. And first off, I want to say that she had an amazing speech and that she did a great job. And I want to, at some point, be able to implement all the things that she went over into my speech, into my speeches or presentations, with including the nonverbal and the verbal skills. One great thing that Leyla did is that she used an attention grabber. And the way she did this is by speaking Italian. And that's how she started off her speech. Those were the first words that came out of her mouth. And so, since she's not in Italy, it grabbed the audience attention by maybe confusing them or intriguing them or making them feel more interested. And this was a great technique that she used and a great way of starting her speech. Also, she said that one of the reasons that she uses her hands so much when she's speaking is because she's Italian. So this was a great attention grabber and an interesting fact, but it was also a good pathway to lead into the topic of her speech, which is nonverbal communication and some verbal communication, but mostly nonverbal communication. So that example of her using her hands a lot, which is nonverbal communication, was a great pathway to lead into introducing her topic. And shortly after that, she says that she's there to talk to them, or her audience, about one of the most interesting languages. And she was just talking about Italian language, and now she says that the most interesting language is nonverbal communication. So that was a clever and a clean transition into what she's going to be talking about. And it was a smart way to do that. She also includes some comedic statements. She includes comedy, and she also uses sarcasm. And these are two really good things to include because, first off, you don't want too much of the same thing throughout the whole speech because that's not fun and entertaining, and you want your audience to be engaged and paying attention to you. You don't want them to drift off, so it's nice to include some comedy to re-engage them and have them ready to listen to more of the information they have to say. So that's very good that she did that. She also says that eye contact, posture, and clothing are forms of nonverbal communication. Eye contact, posture, and clothing, they all communicate something different. They all communicate something. So those three are some forms of nonverbal communication. She also goes over the main functions of nonverbal communication, which those are expressive communication, interpersonal communication, interaction adjustment, and verbal communication. So, expressive communication is facial expressions. And a good example that she used is emojis. Emojis were created so that we could communicate more how we're feeling, because how we're feeling or our reaction to things, because we can't communicate in that same way through just words. It's a nice visual and expressive communication. Interpersonal communication, some examples of that are holding hands or hugging. Interaction adjustment, an example of that could be pointing to someone to let them know that it's their turn. And verbal communication. Verbal communication helps fill in the details that cannot be expressed or delivered through nonverbal communication. Leyla also talked about how in some countries in Asia, smiling is used to show understanding. So if this is some like the example that Leyla used, if a professor or a teacher is talking to their student, expressing something that they didn't do correctly on the assignment, that they want them to fix, or expressing some form of not approving of their assignment, the student could smile a little bit while hearing what the professor has to say, and this will show that the student understands where the professor is coming from. In the United States, smiling is more used to show happiness and inner peace or friendliness. And so nonverbal communication can mean different things in different parts of the world, so it's important to be aware of that, and globalization has helped people be more understanding of that, so there's not as many unhappy people, because they understand that people are from all over the world. And another thing that I noticed is that Leyla incorporated moments of silence, and she incorporated pauses. This is so that she could, because what she said had a lot of value, if she pauses, the audience has a moment to reflect on that and to think about that before she goes on to talking about what she's going to talk about next. And I am very happy that the professor showed us this video of her TED Talk speech, because I learned a lot, and thank you for listening.